started with the light in the upstairs bedroom. Samantha noticed it the first time on a cold Tuesday evening in February, just after she moved into her new rental house in a quiet New Hampshire suburb. The house was old but charming, 2 stories, creaky floorboards, and paint that peeled from the corners like curling fingers. She lived alone. That was the whole point. After years of roommates and noise, she wanted solitude. Her job at the local library didn't pay much, but this house was cheap, suspiciously cheap, in fact. The owner was an older woman who barely spoke and handed over the keys with shaking fingers. "You'll like the house," she'd said. "It has its own presence." Sam hadn't asked what she meant. The first night was peaceful. The second night, she noticed the light. It was the smallest upstairs bedroom, empty, except for an old desk and dusty built-in shelves. Samantha hadn't even entered it since moving in. She used the master bedroom on the opposite side of the hall. But as she lay in bed reading, she noticed a faint yellow glow under the door. She got up, confused. The light switch in that room shouldn't have been touched. When she opened the door, the light was off, just blackness. She flipped the switch to test it. The bulb above flickered on, dull and amber. She stared for a moment, shrugged it off, and went back to bed. But the next night, the same thing happened. This time, she left the door open when she turned the light off, just to prove to herself that she wasn't imagining things. When she woke up the next morning, the door was closed. She stood there for a long time. By the end of the week, other things began to happen. Her toothbrush was wet before she used it. A faint scraping sound echoed from the walls at night, like something sharp being drawn down wallpaper. But worst of all was the feeling, that aching sense that someone else was in the house. It would come suddenly, like a drop in pressure. She'd be reading or brushing her hair, and her body would tense involuntarily. The air would feel thick, and she would swear she wasn't alone. She installed cameras, one in the hallway, one pointing at the front door, and one inside that small upstairs bedroom. And for a few nights, she felt safer, until she checked the footage. At 3:17 a.m. on a Thursday morning, the hallway camera picked up movement. The video showed her sleeping in the master bedroom, the door slightly ajar. Then, the camera in the spare room flickered, once, twice, and revealed a silhouette. Not a shadow, not a trick of light, a person. Tall, thin, with a sloped head, no details, just darkness in the shape of a man, standing motionless in the center of the room. Then it turned slowly, too slowly, and faced the camera. Samantha screamed and dropped her phone. She called the police. They came, searched the house, top to bottom. Nothing. No signs of entry, no forced locks, nothing missing. Probably just a bug or a glare. The officer offered, clearly not convinced of his own words. Sam didn't sleep that night. The house was silent, but it watched her. That's the only way she could describe it. Like it held its breath when she walked by, like its walls could see her. She started locking her bedroom door. She kept a kitchen knife under her pillow. She thought about leaving, but something made her stay. Pride? Denial? Or maybe something the house wanted from her. Then came the knock. It was 2:43 a.m. She was awake, of course she was, and listening to music through headphones, trying to drown out the scratching. Knock, knock, knock. 3 deliberate taps on her bedroom door. She froze. Her stomach turned to stone. She didn't move for minutes. Eventually, she crept forward, knife in hand, and pressed her ear to the door. Nothing. She counted to 10, then yanked the door open. The hallway was empty, but the door to the spare room, it was wide open. The light was on. She left the house the next day. Samantha packed a bag, booked a motel, and told herself she'd never step foot in that house again. She didn't even care about breaking the lease. But at 5 p.m., she got a text from her neighbor across the street. Mrs. Delaney, a sweet woman in her 60s who'd welcomed Sam with banana bread when she first moved in.
Hey dear, I noticed someone's inside your house again. Lights upstairs are on, and someone's walking around. Just wanted to check if you were back.
Sam nearly dropped her phone. She hadn't told anyone she was gone. No one had keys. And the front door? She'd locked it behind her. She called the police again. This time, they brought a K9 unit. They searched every inch. Still nothing. But something had changed in the house. It was colder now. Even the cops felt it. They kept glancing around, muttering about how strange it felt inside. That night, back at the motel, Sam got another text. A photo from an unknown number. The image showed her sleeping. In her motel bed, curtains drawn, lights off. Whoever took the photo had been in the room with her. She ran out into the parking lot, sobbing and screaming for help. The staff called the police. Again, no one found anything. No signs of a break-in. The camera in the motel hallway had glitched out for precisely 6 minutes, the exact time she would have been photographed. That was the night she decided to burn the house down. She didn't care what it cost. But when she returned to the property the next morning, it was gone. Not destroyed, not vandalized, just empty, like it had never been there. The trees stood exactly where they had. The sidewalk led to a blank patch of grass, and there was no trace the house had ever existed. The neighbor, Mrs. Delaney, she didn't remember Sam, didn't remember any banana bread, said the lot had been empty for years. Samantha stood there until sunset. When she finally turned to leave, her phone buzzed again. Another photo. It was the inside of a house, the spare bedroom. Same yellow glow from the light, and a caption. You left the door open this time. 6 months later, a man named Corey Jensen rented a house on the same block. Different lot, different build. He was a loner, quiet, no friends. Within a week, he began telling coworkers that he kept waking up to see a light on in the spare room. Except he lived alone, and the room didn't have electricity yet. One day, he stopped coming to work. They found his apartment unlocked, the bed unmade, his phone on the floor. The last photo on his phone was a selfie. He looked terrified, and behind him, barely visible in the dim yellow light, was the outline of someone standing in the open doorway.